Paddy, great to be back here in beautiful Golden. Not quite as sunny as when we came 12 months ago, but the good times have very much kept rolling here. How are things your end?
Good, yeah, no, nice to have you back, and a little bit more Irish the weather this time, but anyway. No, we've had a good year. I enjoyed York last year, and you know, this year again we have a nice set of horses, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season with them.
Let's just reflect on last year at York. We came here, confidence was pretty high about your team. How would you reflect on it? You had a winner, couple of placed efforts. What would be your summation of it?
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was our first time going there. Treasure Trove won the Roses, which was great. And Le Petit Coco ran a great race in the Yorkshire Oaks. It only took an Arc winner and a Breeders' Cup winner to beat her. Early Tyrone won a very good race in the Ebor. So all in all, it was a very good trip.
Did you learn anything, whether that be about the track, the experience, the travelling from your sort of trip over 12 months ago?
Yeah, it's a lovely big galloping track. I'd seen it on TV, but I'd never walked it, and it's really suitable. Our horses, they like to travel, and they travel through their races, and they like a long straight like that. And I was very impressed, and I'd like to take more horses back there.
And what about the sort of race day experience for you and the owners?
Fabulous, the best we've had anywhere, I think. We got very well looked after by William and his team, and they couldn't have done enough for us, and we really enjoyed it.
So once again, because of that, back for more. And how would you assess your team this time round?
Yeah, I'd say we'll have a select team. I think we've hopefully Rosscarbery for the Yorkshire Oaks, French Claims in the Ebor. Just Beautiful would be ideal for the City of York, and we've a couple of 2-year-olds that might take their chance as well. Let's
focus on a few of them then. We'll start with Rosscarbery. How would you assess her season so far? She was in that sort of rugby scrum a couple of starts ago, but she ran all right last time out.
Yeah, look, she started off in the Munster Oaks and she won that well. I think 1.5 miles is her optimum trip, and that race was 1.5 miles. Dropped to 10 furlongs. She ended up in a little bit of a muddle in the Pretty Polly, which is a race she's had no luck in. She got disqualified out of it the year before, so we're just going to draw a line through that day. And she ran a good race again the last day on ground, maybe softer than ideal, over 1.6 miles in at the Curragh. Emily Dickinson beat her, and I think that should leave her spot on for the Yorkshire Oaks in next month or this couple of weeks' time.
And given your comments there, do you think that the track for the Yorkshire Oaks is her absolute perfect scenario?
I think the Yorkshire Oaks presents the ideal set of conditions for her. I think track, trip, the whole, the long straight, the high tempo of a race like the Yorkshire Oaks with some good fillies in it, I think that will suit her very well.
And given she's run over 1.25 miles, 1.6 miles, obviously 1.5 miles you say there is sort of ideal for her. What weapons does she possess then? Because clearly she's got a bit of speed to drop back, she's got a bit of stamina and guts to step up, but what do you think are her most important assets?
She's a high cruising speed in her races. She travels very well and she finds generously, and at 1.5 miles it seems to see her to best effect. I mean, she's won from 1 mile to 1.6 miles. She's extremely versatile, but she's ran her best races, I think, at 1.5 miles.
And she's running in the colours this season of the Bamfords, leading owners that have had tremendous success with fillies through the years. Great to have sort of them supporting the yard.
Fantastic. She went to the sales last year, and I thought maybe that we wouldn't see her again. And I was delighted to get the call, and they asked would I have her back. It was a very quick yes, and delighted to have her for them, and they've been a pleasure to train for, and hopefully we can win a Group 1 with her for them.
I love her manner as well. Every time we've been here a couple of times now, we've seen her both times, but she just seems to be professional. Is that how she goes about her work? She's
very straightforward. She enjoys her daily routine, and she ran 9 times last year. She's already ran 3 times this year, and she takes everything in her stride, and she's a tough competitor.
Obviously York dependent, but might she book a ticket down under to the Melbourne Cup? Is that seriously under consideration?
She has an entry. She'll have an entry in the Melbourne Cup, and we'll discuss it after York. And see what the options are and what the various options and what's best for her. But it is definitely something that's, she has a Caulfield Cup entry already, and I've already entered her in the Melbourne Cup, so when it closes she'll have it. She'll be on the card, and it's something that we will have to discuss after York.
Okay, of the other horses then, let's talk about Just Beautiful, who was really impressive last time out.
Yeah, the City of York is an ideal race for her, 7 furlongs and a flat track like that. The one thing that she does need is fast ground, and if the ground is quick, it would be a race that we'd love to go to with her.
When she beat Jumbly though last time out, it was officially described as good, I think.
Yeah.
Would she get away with it on good ground? She did that day and did it pretty well.
She'd be fine and good, but good or better. You know, she wouldn't want it. She wouldn't want any soft in the description.
Okay, and again, the sort of configurations of York. Do you reckon that will play to her strengths?
Like the Curragh, I think flat track like that suits her, and you know, a track with no ridges or no undulations. I think she'd be really at home on that, and I think she'd give it a good shot.
Would she take much work at home?
Look, she's race fit. You know, the plan had been either York or the Rothschild, and the Rothschild came up heavy ground in Deauville, so we missed that last week or the week before, and she's a couple of breezes away from being ready to go, and if the weather is right, she'll be there.
I know that there's a push from the team at York, and understandably so, for the City of York to become a Group 1. She obviously won a Group 2 last time out. Do you think that we are dealing with a Group 1 horse here?
I'd like to think so. I mean, that's the aim. The reason we kept her in training as a 5-year-old was to win a Group 1. She's won her Group 2, and the idea is to try and win a Group 1, and that's what we'll be trying to achieve.
French Claim we hope to see in the Sky Bet Ebor. How likely is that?
The opposite end of the going spectrum. He wants heavy ground or really soft ground, and if we got that, he'd be a horse that would line up and take his chance. But all of his best, well, he's third in the Derby on better ground, but a lot of his better form is on softer, heavy ground, and he seems to adapt and get through softer, heavy ground better than most horses.
He's off a mark of 108. Do you think there's wiggle room off that mark?
I think that it's probably a fair reflection of his ability, and I think that you know, 108 means he's guaranteed a run, but there could be horses better handicapped than him.
You've got quite a good line with Emily Dickinson for a few of your horses. You've run into the back end of her a couple of times.
Yeah, look, he has form with her, and so has Rosscarbery, and look, it's great to have horses to compete at that level.
You obviously would have experienced the Ebor with Earl of Tyrone last year, and given the prize money and offer, it's not rocket science what I'm going to say, but it's a really tough race to win. What did you learn about your experience with Earl of Tyrone, and when you look at the French Claims profile, is that the right profile, do you think, to win the Ebor in its sort of guise as it is in 2023?
I suppose, you know, it's our second time doing it. We enjoyed it last year. The horse last year was very progressive and had got to a rating that, you know, was 104 or 106, I think. And he'd earned his right to run on it, and he ran a very good race. This horse has been at this rating for a while, is placed in the Derby, and you know, his form has been very consistent all his life. Runs best fresh, which is why we have him fresh, and I'd love to think he could be in the shake-up. You know, given that he is quite highly rated, I'd love to think he'd be good enough to be in the shake-up. And
this is a more general question now, but we've seen winners from wide in terms of the draw. We've seen winners on the inside. We've seen winners come from the back. We've seen some masterful rides from the front in the Ebor as well. Is there sort of an ideal scenario you would want in terms of where you're positioned on the track, the draw you have going into an Ebor?
I don't have a strong opinion on the draw. That would be for someone that has more experience than me. But this horse is a generous traveller who likes to grind his opposition into the ground, and he likes to make the running, and he sets good fractions, and you know, he would give the other horses a good hard race if he got into it.
What about the 2-year-olds then? Let's start in the Acomb with Juxtaposition, who we had a look at in the stables. What's he like as a type?
He's a nice horse. He went to Leopardstown last week and he won a mile maiden on debut. Did it well, was trapped in the pocket and got out and quickened to win it. You know, he was impressive on the night, and he meets the conditions for the Acomb, and a race like the Acomb would be a perfect next race for him. He
seems to have a bit of personality about him.
Yeah, he's a grand horse. He's a bit of spunk to him, and he's everything we've done with him. He's done it he's answered every call. Everything we've asked him to do, he's done it well. And I think that he's a horse that would be ready for the step up to group company if that if that comes his way.
Given the conditions of the race, he's obviously slightly later coming to hand than the very early season horses. Was he always a horse that you sort of saw a lot of potential in?
He's a horse, yeah. He's a horse that had worked. He trained well all spring, and when we started working him, his work was good. And our 2-year-olds, touch wood, we have a nice bunch of 2-year-olds, and they're running well. And he was working well with the horses that had already won. So you were confident going there that he was going to give a good, good account of himself. And I think it was one of the first mile maidens of the summer. And it was certainly the first one in Leopardstown anyway. And he was ready to run like that, and I'd say he'll progress plenty from it.
Paddy, I imagine this season, at the start of the year, you woke up every morning going, we've got to defend our crown in the Roses, and you're trying it with Gunzburg this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's the forefront of our mind all year. We have a good hardy filly in Gunzburg who compares very favourably to Treasure Trove, who won the Roses last year. She's a filly, came from the Breeze Ups, and she was fourth in debut Guineas weekend. She won her maiden over 5 at Down Royal. She was second in a Group 2 to Matrika in Derby weekend. I ran her back on softer ground there lately, which she didn't seem to love in the Anglesey, and I thought the Roses was a good fit for her at York.
You say she reminds you of Treasure Trove, who won it last year. In what areas?
They're both tough, small. They're sort of under 15 hands. They're hardy, and they're taking their racing very well. I mean, Treasure Trove ran 9 times as a 2-year-old. This filly's already ran 5 times. So, and they're both stakes level. And they're Treasure Trove, after she left York last year, came to the Curragh 6 days later and won a Group 3. They're hardy fillies, and they're able for racing now.
You've stretched her out 6.5, I think, last time out. But do you think 5 is her perfect trip?
I think the way that the English, sprints are run, that they go hard up front. If they did that, I think that she'd be doing her best work at the finish, a bit like Treasure Trove did last year. As I say, I think anywhere from 5 to 6, but I think a strong run 5, she'd have a good chance.
Would you worry that at York they can just sort of zip away over 5?
The faster they go, the better.
Really?
I'd be hoping they'd come back, but but if they got away in her, sure, look, that is what it is. But she definitely gets 6. So,
just given the confidence and the strength of the team, we touched on it earlier, and you obviously had success there 12 months ago. You were given a great experience by William and the team, etc., etc. You obviously, and I know from speaking to you last year, you want the best horses to win the best races at the Premier meetings, and you're doing that, and you're doing it really successfully. Where does York rank in terms of your sort of your feelings as to sort of having achievement at York? Is it right up there for you?
Absolutely. York, as we say, we had a fantastic experience. The facilities are second to none. The prize money is fantastic. The care we got was, at a different level to what we've been given anywhere else before. And it's important for us to leave Ireland and get on the international stage, and to go to the UK and to get more exposure. It's something I'd like to grow. York is somewhere I'd like to target, and for the foreseeable years, I'd like to target that meeting every year.
So my final question is, who is your best chance of giving you success at York this year?
I think Rosscarbery is our best, chance of a horse running a big race there. I think it's the ideal set of conditions for her, and I think that on the day, if everything went to plan, that she'd run a big race.